Okay. I don't know why this is tripping like that. Not gonna worry about it. All right, there we go. It's almost out. Okay, let's try that again. So, like I said, we're gonna get into the fire signs for the Capricorn sun season. Right now, I'm just kind of getting the space aligned. I really did want to talk about the really just this intense desire energy. When I particularly think on the elements, I want to start out with the fire signs because I've been noticing with this Capricorn season that what's really been coming to the forefront has been just a lot of our suppressed desires or just things that we've been really wanting on the heart. These things have really been standing out if we've been paying attention to like what we want within our heart chakra and have actually been satisfying those things or just putting the time into working on those things. But if we haven't been listening to that call and we're kind of like still stuck within kind of like our 3D matrix, then we may have been putting that off in favor of other things to satisfy maybe the ego or just what we felt was important at that time that wasn't necessarily the concern of the heart. So we're finding, especially this is really evidenced by this Venus retrograde that we're still experiencing, where old energies or just projects that were laying dormant, relationships or just aspects of our career that we want to expand on, maybe sitting in a state or resting in a state that is not necessarily conducive to the reality that we want. So with as this relates to with this Capricorn sun energy resting in the fire signs, there's kind of this rush to activate and receive all the things that are deserved. And it's really interesting because I have to start with Aries and really touch on that Emperor. Let's see, the Emperor. Yeah, fire signs really didn't hold it up because we have the Emperor, Justice, and the shadow side. So we're dealing with some major energy there. And I'm going to touch on that in just a moment. Yeah, we have Justice. And the shadow side. Okay. With so much energy that we're creating within this space, I want to open up a portal where clarity and loving energy can be received. So we have to release the insecurities, the doubts, the hangups, the ego, the knowing. Because when receiving answers, when we're looking for answers, when we ask questions, we have to release the space of what we already know to receive the answers we wish to receive. So we're opening the space up to authentic knowing and judgment-free and just allowing for the positive clarity of both veneration of the ancestors and just from the universe to come through. And as we are activating and opening our vision up within this Capricorn sun season, we open ourselves up to the fire signs and we have to touch on Aries. My energy flows where my intention goes. So when I ask Spirit, just the energy surrounding just the love walk and the heart walk for the fire signs and what the collective is experiencing, Aries definitely has a lot of vitality for you during the sun season. The January turnover for the new year is what I want to say. For you, Aries, there has, in a sense, been this drive to create the surroundings and the environment that is conducive to your paradise. And that's why I say that, you know, things are really going good within your reality. You may be looking at a nice, very stable home, or at least just a presentation of what you present to the people around you shows that the kids are happy, and that, you know, the pastures are greener when you look out in the vastness. But you also may be noticing that you are sitting in a state of unrest, or just being at the ready. You may be sitting in paradise, but you're also sitting in full armor, and you have all of your energy sitting waiting at the ready. So for my Aries, there's this sense that you've created, you put all of this energy, whether it's into establishing your new image in your cloud, or just the way your relationship looks, or the way just how you have things established, and that you're better than you actually are looking or want other people to know you to be. With this energy here, my energy flows where my intention goes. With this Capricorn season, we're dealing with the Capricorn Venus, Capricorn playing on those triggers of just undisclosed desires. Capricorn is ruled by the devil, so if there's suppression in anything that hasn't been addressed, or if something that you feel that you've been powerless in, then these are the times when those energies are coming up the strongest. So within your relationships, if you haven't been being honest about what you want within your dynamic, you may be putting on this armor, or just jumping into the next thing that is conducive to satisfy the reality that you're not currently getting. This is really being evidenced within the intimate dynamics of your relationship, just due to such heavy Capricorn placement within Venus and within the Sun. That Saturn energy is really going to force you to go back to the things when we feel stuck. When Saturn comes into the picture, or when Capricorn comes into the picture and it feels stuck, it may even become rebellious and look or seek out ways to satisfy the thing that they're not able to satisfy, because Capricorn doesn't like to be seen as vulnerable. So when it finds itself in a space where it's not able to accomplish something, or is running into a limit, then it will seek out things that either create an illusion, or to help to reduce the fact that they don't have to see that aspect if they're not able to solve it, or to numb or to take away the sobriety from their current reality. So they may be running from their current relationship situations, and you may be finding that within your current dynamics, that instead of actually working to fix the situation within the connection that you have, you may actually just be seeking to use the energy from elsewhere. And the fact that the Emperor is here also is asking you from Spirit to ask if you've been giving consideration to anyone other than yourself, as long as it makes the things that you want come into effect. I'm actually, I see I'm actually going to have to go across the board here, because Spirit definitely wants me to elaborate into these and channel some more energy, because this Capricorn, this Capricorn sign has a lot of things that are coming out, especially from the turnover of the year. We're in the year of the Tiger, so there's a big call to a lot of courage coming to the forefront. There's a lot of drive to feel like we can do anything, that you are feeling better than ever. You're feeling like this may be your best year, or if you haven't been feeling that, and now that you've somehow scraped by and made it into this year, you're feeling like, I have to do everything that I can while I can. And you may be feeling as if you're on, in a sense, borrowed time, which explains why the armor, why you have on the armor, even though you're in a state where you should be able to relax and rest. You kind of are sleeping with one eye open within your energy field, because you may have taken, or you may have borrowed, you may have built what you have on energy that came from somebody else's hard work. And when we do those things, even when we get away with them within our spirit, you can't fully rest within your sleeping cycle, or within your subconscious, because that when energy is stolen, you feel as if you also have to watch out for the valuables within your inner energy field as well. That's why the staff of vitality is within hand. You have to keep it very close to you at all times. It's hard to really allow anyone in without first doing a self-check. So it's almost as if every connection and everything that's presented to you is being presented in a way in which you feel that you have to bring all your tools to the table. It's a challenge, or you feel as if you can't harmonize more so than have to dominate all the energy that's coming your way. Some of this energy is not meant for you to dominate, especially in this particular time period with Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Venus. You're being revisited with a lot of your old desires and vices. And if you try to dominate these situations, when these situations are not coming back up for you to actually build a foundation on, and this is evidenced by the fact that with all the activation within Uranus and Taurus, that when you try to build a foundation on anything such as those career, finances, things of that nature, it's going to suddenly change. So these things aren't coming back for that reason in that way. They're coming back to let you see either what they could have been, or to see if you still hold the same value about those things. But sometimes with Aries, because it's the sign of the first house, and it's a cardinal push, it may not be taking that pause that's required to appreciate and understand the deeper meaning that's usually associated with art and deeper wisdom. So you have to make sure that you're not just forcing the situation to be what it is that you want it to be. You're not just looking at it and saying, okay, this is my new home. I'm going to just create this exodus, just clear out everybody that used to live here just so that my 2 fucking kids can be here. And all the people who originally lived here, aren't there anymore. And this was their hole. This was their drinking hole. And it's where they got their support and wisdom from. But, you thought it was a nice spot and you had the means and the tools to take it and usher the people out. But now they've been exited to somewhere else. And sometimes when we do that, you are left with this sturdy foundation and the forest. But the things that made it so beautiful and made the place what it was is just an empty shell. And it's kind of this big house with a big echo in it. And you don't have the things that you would like to have that made it so appealing when you were looking at it from the outside, looking on to begin with. Aries has a lot of pent-up energy, a lot of things that you're working to release, but you also have a lot of ambition. As in 2022 really gets rolling this year, you're finding yourself looking back at not even looking back, you may even be looking next to you at the relationships and asking yourself, does the energy that I put in actually match up with what it is that I told myself that these things would work out to be? And it's a lot of 9s, and it's definitely as it relates to your connection. So 9 of Swords, there's definitely a lot of issues in relation to creating this reality and what you have in your head, but there's a lot more fears and insecurities than necessarily appreciating why this has been brought back to you, brought within your space. You're really painting the picture as to what you want it to be instead of actually allowing the situation to take shape. And because of that 9 of Wands, you're fighting against what should be going on because you want the prize, and you're willing to do anything through shame or blocks of resistance, even necessarily dealing with something that may already be taken. And you may actually even be interested in it because it's not necessarily available, or because it's so taboo or it requires so many risks to get. You have to ask yourself that if you have to put on your armor to actually get it, what have you actually earned? Are you going after it simply because it's hard to get? Or is there a deeper drive? Are you trying to take away something because things are taken from you? What are you actually building for yourself? And especially with these first house triggers and drives, the house of self, you have to ask yourself what the physical things, because there's nothing wrong with the physical. We always say, the physical, the physical is such low vibration, but there's a divinity in the physical. If you're going to have the focus on self, the focus on the things that are around you, then what do the things around you say about you? What is your physical? Where's the divinity in your physical? What do the things around you say? What does the physical relationship, the job, the cars, how you transport your home, how you perceive these things, the quality of your relationship, your children, what do these things say about your physical? What do they say about yourself? How are they reflecting you? And where are you putting that energy when you actually are faced with maintaining what is required to hold the connection together, going even further? 6 of Cups. These disconnections, a lot of this as it relates to you, Aries, is not just specifically about career, business, or just the whims and thoughts that are coming back into your awareness, but it's in relation to things that you built up. It can actually be your friendships, or it can even be a job project, or of how you saw yourself being. A lot of you are building a lot of mobile businesses, or just building your clout within the social media, or just content creating. And your image is very important to you and what you've been building a relationship for how you want to be perceived. And now you have this opportunity, and the people working with you are coming back kind of like in support. You have this support with you. And now that it's kind of growing, you have to take time to recognize who's built this up to what it is and what you bring to the table. But I do feel that there's, in a sense, that there's a kind of a claiming or just kind of drawing the energy for one's own benefit, no matter where it comes from, which is why there's an inversion in this anyway. You have to acknowledge that there was a lot of working pieces that came into play, and you may have even been given an opportunity to come into a mold, a situation, or a dynamic in which you were the odd man out. And when you got in, you kind of played it like, you know, you were the king or the prince in the situation, but really you were the ugly duckling. And then when you got your ego back, then you kind of stunned it like you were on top, but really you were given the opportunity and a blessing to be in a position to turn this energy into what it currently is. So now when we get our prayers answered and then we start doing secular things from the position of our blessings, that's when we start to run into conflict. So now you have all these new opportunities presented to you, and you're just kind of like, okay, well, what are all the fuckery things that I can do with this shit? What's all the debauchery and just nefarious shit I can do with this, instead of continuing the momentum down the higher vibrational path and building more on what was presented to you? And because your energy flows where your intention goes, now that you have this space, you have to realize that you're running the risk of corrupting what it is that's been presented to you. And a lot of people have not gotten this opportunity. So for you, Capricorn, for you, Aries, I know that for when you're dealing with Capricorn energy, Aries and Capricorn energy can be very kind of, it can be some friction there. Not to say that it can't work, but the reason that there's clashes when Aries is faced with Capricorn energy, even when it's in the sun sign or just dealing with relationships, is because Aries likes to fix things, but it's prudence, it's need to kind of take that impulse. Capricorn is not necessarily going to satisfy the ego that Aries kind of needs that validation on. Sometimes when there's traumas within the Aries, whether male or feminine or masculine, Capricorn doesn't necessarily like to stroke the ego or to continue to constantly validate if they need these spaces satisfied within their energy field. So because there's that Mars energy within Aries, and Capricorn can kind of naturally be restrictive, Capricorn likes to let you know what your potential is, but it also lets you know where you're at. And Aries likes a challenge. And when Capricorn is faced with that energy, it's not necessarily presenting these restrictions as a like, hey, see if you can beat it. It's presenting these things to let you know, no, this is your limit. So the confliction comes in, especially like within relationships, where it's like, I'm telling you this, and then you're seeing this as a challenge to see if you can break it. So sometimes when the energy is presented for Aries, you may be missing the lesson, or you may be missing why you're running into these limits or this resistance within a situation. You may be running into a relationship that's coming back to you that you have feelings about, and you're thinking that this is an opportunity to try it again. And while that could be the case, if you're running into that resistance, are you asking yourself within your mindfulness and your energy field, okay, is this for me to just get back with my old ex? Or is this happening because there's a deeper wisdom for my body to see? Like, what fucking sensation am I feeling when I'm around this person? And what is that sensation saying to me about who I am, my calling, and the things that drive me? So these are why these opportunities are getting presented, and the excessiveness right now, this intense feeling that we're feeling from people, is because the devilishness that we feel across, and I'm talking across the entire collective, that we're feeling is because we can all really have what we want. But again, sometimes when we're presented with what we want, we don't know what to do because nobody's ever asked us that before. So definitely for my Aries, I would say that there's a need for a pause, or at least to have some type of empathic consideration for the energy that you're working with within your environment. It's time to ask yourself if you're being a little bit too forceful in the situation and in the matter. I definitely want to move on to the next one, which is Leo. All of these fire signs feel as if there's kind of some individuality going on, but particularly with Leo, I'm feeling kind of like some vibration within my throat chakra. So there may be an overbalance, which can suggest that there's a strong urge for individuality, or a push to express one's individuality when being confined. For you, Leo, during this time, on the oracle messages, I got the presence of love cast out fear. The presence of love will always cast out fear. The presence of love will always cast out fear. And that's very fitting during this time of winter, because that's when the days get longer. I mean, the nights get longer. So darkness is literally longer or more abundant. So fear is more abundant when a thought is created. It's easier for it to turn into a fear thought than a loving thought. Winter creates less light, so it's very cold. Winter is the time of death, so it's very easy to think about the negative, or just to have negative self-talk, or to just not see the good in the energy that's being put out in the situations that you're in. I kind of want to double this over with the with Leo and how their compatibility is with Capricorn, because during this time, Leo is a sign of truth. It's a sun sign, and Capricorn. For Leo, it's very interesting because Leo is the regal sign, and it can really feel like a king. And when it expects to receive certain things in the energy, especially when it's expecting gifts and rewards and riches for its work, or just the intent that it's manifesting, especially as it relates to its feelings, Leo can really be kind of demanding and need a lot of validation, and its ego can really need to be stroked. But Capricorn sun, of all the signs, Capricorn really does not like stroking the ego of Leo. It feels like it's entitled, and will actually most likely pettily do the opposite if it sees that its ego needs to be stroked. It doesn't feel it's its job to do so. So when we have Sun Capricorn, especially for you, Leo, it can be very challenging during this time, because you're expecting things when you put in this work, especially with the urges and the drives from Saturn and Capricorn placements, and Venus and in the Sun during this time. You're considering the work of the things that you put in, because when we deal with Capricorn placements, we deal with the investment. The best word to really is investment energy. We deal with the investment energy, and essentially what that means is whatever you decide to do, or whatever the Capricorn decides to do, it doesn't want to do it if it feels that it's not going to be worth its time. So when we deal with Venus and Capricorn, it's kind of like, okay, where are we with our relationship? Where are we with this dynamic? Are we courting? Are we fucking? Are we casual? Are we friends? Are we work based? Like, what the fuck is this? What is this project? Is this investment going to give me back money on my crypto return? Like, am I going to get something good back with what I'm putting in? So with this Venus retrograding in Capricorn for you, Leo, during this time, you are definitely considering the hard work, especially if you've been putting in. Where this is taking me is how it relates to, one, your family, and how, two, it relates to, wow. Are you treating family right, and are you expecting things from those who've been looking out for you? This is also a call that you may be in a situation where, how do I put this? You need help, but the help will only come from the people that you need to reconcile with. There's people that you have not necessarily done right, and now you're faced with a situation or circumstances that have kind of dead-ended you or roadblocked you. And it's essentially kind of put roots on you in the situation until you decide to do right within the energy, and justice showing up. There's an inversion within the energy here. You're kind of just getting back it is for what it is. But also this is a soul call, because it's showing that you know that you have not been moving right, and that you've not been putting the right energy out. But there's still an entitlement or an expectation to receive back something that you may not necessarily deserve. For my Leos that have been grinding kind of, especially through this last half of the year, and things have not necessarily been going the best for you, especially after we turned over to the 2022 year. And you've been experiencing hardships, especially as things are kind of rising back to the surface with the Venus Capricorn and this Venus Sun season. This is definitely a call that if you've been giving into your fears, to ask yourself how you've been working to reconcile those situations. It almost feels as if you have been, the fear that's been playing up in your head is not necessarily as worse as the actual circumstances, but because you don't want to face it, you're actually allowing the circumstances to get worse than to actually confront it so that you can receive the aid or the support that you need. This conversion with Justice being here as well is also letting you know that the time in which to actually correct the situation is kind of coming to a close. You may have actually felt some things come up, back up lately, when you've actually been able to put this off for a lot longer than you generally been able to. Usually work or just other festivities, just your own children, or just the people, the golden ones within your light that allow you to kind of bask in the pride. Those things are kind of like moving away from you, so now you're kind of being forced to come to terms with the things that you have not been doing. You have to come to terms with the people that you've been being too harsh to. You have to come to terms with the ones that have essentially gotten you to where you are, especially during this pandemic, when a lot of people have not been available for people. And now you find yourself you're wondering where those people are at, or you're trying to figure out, you're on your last legs with them. It's very important that you reconcile with them, because they're the only ones that they're the only ones that really understand you. Because I keep seeing this message, the presence of love will always cast out fear. It means that there's something that you're really set or stuck on, that you feel that this is the way that it has to be. But when you get into this winter season, it's really not the best time for you, Leo, because when you as a regal sign and being a sun sign, your sun is hot and it scorches and it's very vast. You can be so abundant, you can be courageous. The year of the tiger, this is your year. But when you're not seeing the sun in a situation, or you're not seeing any way to go, it can continue to make you go down this path of continuing to justify the actions. It's kind of like, well, because I'm not shit, I might as well continue to not be shit, so it doesn't matter. So why try to reconcile? Why try to be a good person? Why try to make this right? Why try to do anything because I don't deserve anything, so I might as well just continue to put out the same quality of energy? And that's really not conducive for you during this time. With Capricorn, a lot of Capricorn is not just about momentum. Capricorn being a cardinal earth sign is about initiating or starting things, but it's also about what cycles are we starting? It's not just starting something, but it's the cycle that we're starting. So are we continuing the same cycle, or are we allowing for a different direction, a course correction? You actually have the opportunity for a literal course correction. You have the opportunity to let go of something that's within your energy field, a pattern, a pride, an attribute that is robbing you of the joy that you wish to have with the people that matter to you most within your space, the ones that you love most within your space. And you simply just have to let go, or allow that this need to be right, this need to hold the ground, to literally dissipate. Okay. We have 7 of Pentacles, yes, 5 of Wands, 3 of Wands. So yes, 7 of Pentacles, confirmation that you're doing too much work. This is not even you not necessarily wanting to make the sacrifice, but I'm feeling a very earthly energy. So with this expanding more on justice and the energy you've been putting in, there's in a sense that you're holding within your head, because this is definitely putting in the energy, but you're holding within your head instead of actually creating the reality or initiating what's required. There's that initiation again. And during this Sun Capricorn season, there's definitely a confirmation that you have or had the opportunity to at least try to make things right, but you're so in your head about it that you're not making the investment, because it's all about the investment, especially of things that you know to be true, things that you've said, and you're just leaving it as it is. This is also confirmation that because you're leaving these situations the way they are, the roundabout fucking way that you're going to solve the situations actually requires more work to get the same results, if not less than what you've already been putting in. So it's actually to your benefit to address the situation directly. I'm feeling an indirectness, and it is very funny because as the sign, the king sign of the zodiac, so to speak, you can be very passive or just timid when you don't want to confront a situation emotionally. It kind of reminds me of that story. I don't remember what it was, but it was like when that mouse took that fucking plank out that lion's foot, and he was like crying like crazy and shit. And then he like, as soon as he took the shit out, like this big ass lion stopped crying, and he like became super protective of the mouth. And it kind of makes me think like it's like you have this thing going on. It's like this little thing that you are not addressing, and it's literally debilitating you from what you're doing. You need to put more energy in, or you're going to keep running into this Five of Wands, keep running into this confliction, especially an inner confliction, because you're denying yourself of what it is that you actually want to do. And because of that, there's all this wrestling back and forth for your desires. So the energy is kind of working back in on itself. Just definitely elaborating more on justice. And it's like really messed up, because when fear deposits in the heart chakra, we kind of wrestle back and forth with our own personal mirrors, because the heart chakra is the mirror of duality, you know, the ego and the subconscious, you know, the spiritual and the non-spiritual, just like all that stuff. So the mind and the heart. So when we're in conflict with that, we're not, we usually let one or the other dominate. You know, we might be two in our heads or two in our hearts. So there's a confliction going on. And the reason that you're not making the investment, Seven of Pentacles, is because you don't actually believe that you can get it. And this is why, again, it's so important for you to remember that letting go of fear allows a space for, well, letting go of, allowing a space for love allows to cast out fear. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, Five of Wands, with all of the effort that's being made, it's so much mental energy, because it's like you're watching on the fence. You're sitting with this fence perspective, like just assuming that when things don't go that well, and then you see one little thing, it's like, see, I told you it wasn't worked. I'm glad I watched. And it's like, well, maybe it's not blowing the other way. It's because you're the missing factor that's going to actually change that effort. Confirmation, Three of Wands, you have to hop onto the situation. So it's the Five of Wands. You're going to keep coming to this halfway point, but really the missing piece is you. And until you take that impulse, until you get out of your own head, get out of your own way, get out of your pride, let go of fear for the sake of love, you're going to keep being faced with that. And the reason that you're having so much difficulty doing it is because when you run into vulnerability moments or issues where you feel insecure or just don't feel in your full power, feel like that full regal king, then you want someone to stroke your ego. You want someone to pamper you. And especially during this time, Capricorn wisdom is not going to pamper you. You're going to be left sitting there in the cold and in your entitlement, waiting on these other things to happen, and they're simply just going to be left waiting. And that's not very conducive for you. And that's a kind of a harsh truth and a harsh situation to be left in, because I don't think anyone's actually coming and telling you that this is the case, and you're kind of sitting there starving because you're hungry and you're expecting somebody to do it, and they're just not. Okay, let's see. We're gonna move on to Sagittarius and kind of double back on this Leo energy. There were definitely, I think we had all major arcana with this, because I know with Sagittarius we're dealing with the shadow side, which is more inducive to the devil. And the only reason it's called the shadow side is because a lot of times when we come across the devil, kind of give a negative context instead of necessarily referring to just the energy state. But since we're touching on the devil, when this Capricorn season, and Capricorn being the archetype associated with the devil, I believe that's definitely a confirmation and wisdom that the devil energy that's coming up during this season is playing on our Lilith desires, our suppressions, our emotional and sexual repression. It's also playing on things that we're afraid to put out into the world, that we don't feel that we have power in. It can also be playing on our hardships, because when we're suffering hardships, losses, things of that nature, then we start to really come to terms with the things that we either have been thinking on or have been saying or projecting out, and asking, are we really trusting or believing in what it is that we feel about the world and how it works? Right, let's put that right here. Oh, okay, that's why the energy was like that. See, yeah, I knew there was such a similar energy on these. So, okay, all right, that's still fine, because these messages are still the same for that. But anyway, I'll get back to that in a minute. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Right. Okay, so here we go. So for my Leo, that's more fitting. I'm kind of looking. I'm like, I know that the justice message is what it is, and then like the elaborations, like the Seven of Pentacles, Five of Wands, Three of Wands. But I'm sorry, the only difference is my Oracle card for a Leo. This is why I don't like bookmarking. But my Oracle card, when I asked Spirit for this message, was I am unapologetic about what I desire and trust that I will focus on what I focus on will grow. I am unapologetic about my desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. So what this is saying for you, Leo, is that since we were talking about entitlement with desires and Capricorn not stroking those desires, there's been energy coming to you, like all the fire signs, where it's like, damn, I got this energy. Okay, what can I do with it? But for you, you're getting certain things, but the Five of Wands, there's still this tug of war because, like I said, the heart chakra deals with duality. It deals with the polarities of things within your state of self. So are you actually being honest? And the situations of all the things that you're receiving are not necessarily happening the way you want because it requires for you to take that impulse or to make that impulse. And since you've been considering holding this energy for so long, you're doing a lot of work within a situation that is it's like you're working overtime, but they're not paying you time and a half. So you're asking yourself, what's the point? And that's really the question you should be asking yourself. If you're putting in all this work and still receiving the same amount of work and effort, then there's got to be something that you're doing wrong. But if you're unapologetic about the energy and the intent that you're putting out, then maybe there's also some aspect that you're not seeing within yourself or that you're not allowing in order for the situation to grow more than what it is. I believe that the dynamic has grown, it's plateaued. You're facing a plateau situation, and because you're unapologetic means that you are not changing. That's what unapologetic means. I don't have to change when faced with this external energy that I am being received with. So for you, Leo, you've been facing an external energy along your path, and you've impulsively been diving in and pushing towards it regardless of the Five of Wands, the resistance. And because of that, you're not actually able to make a sound sacrifice or investment in a situation. You are required to put in all of this extra work just to actually break even. And this is a call during this time to ask yourself if you're mindful of that and what are you getting out of this? Is this so important that it's worth the work? If it is, then hey, continue, because when justice is in this state, it's showing you that this is about to be what it's going to be. So ask yourself, are you happy with the energy that you're getting back? Are you happy with the energy that you're getting back during this time? Reflect on that. Let this resonate within your energy field. Okay, moving on to Sagittarius. Now we're getting this right. Sagittarius, this makes more sense. Sagittarius, the presence of love will always cast out fear. And we have the shadow side, which is the devil, when we're dealing with the witch's tarot. The devil, and then the devil in this instance is really speaking to the things that we focus our minds on, whether it's our vices, our ambitions, or the tools that we're using. But it's a call that the tools that we're using may end up becoming the thing that we actually become addicted to, which is very redundant. It's very dangerous. It's one of the issues we don't think about it in relation to, like, money. Like, we might think about it in something silly, like, oh man, like if I had a bunch of fucking hammers, like I would just be the fucking man. Like, you think like, what? That's fucking stupid. But when we worship a tool because of what it does for us, like we appreciate a tool. We appreciate what a fucking wrench or a hammer can do, because it makes our job that I can't do with my hands more practical or more possible. It turns the impossible into the possible. So that's why we like tools. But if I just sit up here and say, oh my God, I'm just going to get a whole bunch of fucking hammers and wrenches because they make my life easier, it's kind of like, that's crazy. But when we do that same shit with money or cars or these tools that extend our reach or make us able to do things that we're not able to do, then we think that's okay and we don't question it. And it's the same shit. And the thing with the devil is when we start to take the drive or the thing that's supposed to get us where we're going, and it becomes the thing that where we're going, then we run in place. So we're running in place for money, or we're running in place for wrenches and hammers, which is dumb. But we're running in place, and the thing that we're working for is also the thing that we're using to work for it. And we're not actually working towards anything or working to just use the tool. Like, you just have a bunch of hammers and tools. You build anything? No. I just like having hammers and tools and wrenches. Like, you like having money? Like, yeah. Like, do you want to build anything? Like, no, I don't want to do anything. I just like having the money. I just like knowing that I have it. And you get stagnant. You're only working towards this one thing. And just bringing this back to Sagittarius during this time, there's been things that you have not been having within your energy field, or that you've been afraid that you will lose. And because you've been fixated on that, they've either been manifesting, or you've been pushing yourself further away from the thing that you actually desire. Because fear and love are really the same thing at the end of the day. The thing that you love is actually the thing you're afraid to lose, and vice versa. So a lot of times, like, if you've been having questions come into your awareness, or you've been having dreams or nightmares about things that you're afraid to lose, ask yourself what that means for you. Ask yourself what the things that you love, or the things that make you mad about when your loved ones do certain things to you that have been triggering you lately. Ask yourself what that means. Ask yourself why you're not able to face the light of the situation that's been shining. It's almost as if the death cast has been kind of creeping up within your dreams, within the peripheral of your vision of something that you feel like you need to address, or you're sleeping with one eye open. But when the ugly truth is showing up, you're not necessarily trying to face that. You're not trying to deal with that. We're in this winter season. There's things that you need to face so you can allow yourself a rebirth. It's very unfortunate that we live in a Western society in which we act as if there's only 3 seasons, and we're so comfortable with all these seasons. But when we come to winter, we never allow things to start new, because we never allow things to die. We never allow things to go into their resting winter state. So because of that, we never are able to experience spring. We just stay in this perpetual state of summer and just this illusion of the fall, and we stay in this liminal space of the fall. And then when it comes time for winter to actually come upon us, we're just so devastated. We're so devastated. How could this come to an end? How have I never known that things could die? And we're in this we've been seeing plants die and billions of people die, and we've seen cemeteries, and we've seen winter, and we've seen things wither away for forever. But then when we're faced with our own personal things, we're so shocked that things can come to an end, or that things cannot go our way. How are we creating love in these situations? How are we combating our fears? How are we tapping back into love, or are we just being naive within our own reality? Are we too sensitive? Have we been running away from the state of things? Have we been running away from the things that we don't wish to hear or experience? Oh, we got a clear message. Okay, I feel that. 7 of Cups, 2 of Cups. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of cups. It's nothing but emotions. So, I will say for you, Capricorn, 7 of Cups, there is a need for cleanse, or to look at the situation that you find yourself in. You may be feeling dirty, or just feeling as if you can't properly see all the connecting pieces. Though you may be basking, some of you may be basking in a situation, or within the darkness or the spaces of fear and insecurity that you find yourself in. You may be facing something that seems so appealing, and that thing you may be clinging to that as a means to give yourself a sense of joy. 2 of Cups, to address how your stagnation has been. Knight of Water, Knight of Cups. During this time, I will say the Spirit wants you to know that you do have support. You have support, authentic support. And you have to listen to that aspect of self. I know you may want to kind of be to yourself, or kind of shy away from that energy, but it's very important that you allow those that are bringing good energy into your space to aid you. You can't heal in a space that is toxic. So if you're not truly addressing the kind of the sludge monster, then you'll always kind of feel this sense that something is creeping up on you. There's some old traumas that are kind of coming back into the awareness that you need to acknowledge. Acknowledge the fact that you're not completely okay. You may be clean, you may be cleansing, you may even be getting back to your better self, but just acknowledge that you're not 100% there. There's still a little bit of sludge. There's still a little few things that could use some kind of detoxifying, some detoxing in the energy field, a proper bath, proper cleansing of your divine fires. You may even need some movement. You haven't been moving around. I see kind of the swamp water. So that means you've been sitting with some old feelings within your energy field. Most likely things that you didn't think that you could change or do anything about. The fear is kind of really heavy during this time. It really got worse during actually the Sagittarius season. The Sagittarius season wasn't really the greatest for you. It was really just a reminder of a lot of the things that were not going well in your life. And as we come to the Capricorn season, was really just a reminder of all the things that you hadn't been doing about it. So when there are silver linings of good things taking place, but you maybe have been feeling like a lot of bad news is being transpiring within your space. So it's very important for you to address why this part. I really feel like a part of this has been happening because it's important for you to see where and what you do, what you go to, and who you go to when you feel powerless, when you feel as if you have to give into the darkness. This is a call for you to bring yourself back to the awareness of your power and what you're actually capable of, and that you actually still do have the means to cleanse. You still, regardless of actually knowing why or what your blessings are sourced from, you actually do have a lot of support and things that operate within your energy field that give you the sense of renewal and refreshment. I believe this also is a confirmation during this Capricorn season. I don't know why I'm thinking of embolic, but there's definitely some type of refresh or renewal that you should probably take a part of or consider within your energy field to release. Feeling release. Some of these old wounds, old traumas. It's time for you to talk about some things, to really talk about things. You've been holding a lot of shit in, been keeping a lot of shit suppressed deep down within. You need to get moving again. You need to talk to people you trust. You need to stop acting, or not acting. You need to stop telling yourself or being bottled up as if people can't relate to you, or that this is too hard to share with somebody that really gets you. It's important for you to take this opportunity to not let the sludge monster build, and to actually allow your emotions a space where they can be healthily released and let out. 2022 is trying to allow you the momentum to move so that you can keep your ponds clear, so that we can clear the space for joyous connectivity. There's people wanting to connect with you now that can really bring a lot of joy and happiness within you and are allowing you to travel and take flight. There's also suggestions that there will be a lot of abundance if you simply allow yourself to open up to those things. It's time for you to step into a bigger pond, but there's also a suggestion that in order to do that there's some movement required and a need to let go of old things. When we're stuck on old vices, the shadow side, when we're stuck on old vices, we can't move. We're petrified. We're paralyzed. We're in our head. It brings us back to the crown. It brings us back to an imbalance in our crown, and we can't function anymore. Sagittarius, you have every means to overcome your situations and any hardships and energy or unfortunate news that you are experiencing or have faced during this time. This is a confirmation to call on those loving supports, whether it be God and the friends within your space or within your inner self, whatever positive energies to help you to heal. Call on those healing energies and allow them the space to do their work, because healing cannot be forced. Healing has to allow a space of surrender or come from a space of surrender. Ask yourself how you've been surrendering instead of forcing. Have you been listening? Have you been allowing your throat chakra to be relaxed? Are you holding a space for what you feel the outcome or the answer is? If you're holding an answer, then you can't receive the new information. So during this time, allow yourself to receive. Continue to allow yourself to be open during this time, during this Capricorn season, for what's best for your productivity. Capricorn is the 10th house. So this is the time to allow within your mindfulness how your careers and how your ambitions are conducive and healthy for you, and how you can continue to grow those in a healthy and positive way for yourself. Overall, for my fire signs throughout the collective of the Capricorn season, this is really a call of awareness to take a pause within yourself and to see what it is that's been coming back up for you that you find is almost, particularly, I find the best way to put it is almost irresistible urges to control. That devil energy It's been coming up a lot. What have you been finding is so hard to control that you can't resist, that you're fighting, that you're arguing over, that you're lying to get to, that you're sneaking out to get to, that you can't resist, that you're getting in trouble for? Like, what is it within your energy field that you're doing that is like that for you? And what is that actually saying about you and what you're not getting, what you're not receiving for yourself? Ask yourself these questions. Are there things that I'm not receiving within my energy field that I desire and that I feel that I'm powerless to get? What am I doing to get those things? Am I actually putting those prayers out there? Am I actually putting that work and energy out there? If this message resonates within your energy field, take that pause with yourself as you continue to move through this Capricorn season. Also drop a comment and let me know what you think of this message. Or just overall share this with other witches and other people whose vibration resonate and need to hear this message. Much love, many blessings, and ashe. That is a wrap. Y'all have a great day and let me know what you think.